There's another bite. It's taken some time to start getting them going, but oh, look at that. That bomb's not a very big fish. That bomb has actually come right up. So it's actually tanked off. It's definitely one of the smaller fish. Not sure if it's a carp. I'm not sure what's in this lake, to be honest. So we've had a nice big bream, we've had a few carp, and then whatever this one is. And when I get this one in, I'm going to show you the setup. Because whatever you're doing in fishing, oh, that's a nice big F1, I reckon. Still see that corn in his chops. But I've actually caught that one over me loose feed. So what I've done at the start is move around, because it is absolutely bitterly cold. But it's actually quite pleasant sat here with the sun. If it wasn't for the sun out today, it'd be really uncomfortable. Let's just unhook him. And let's just talk a little bit more about bomb fishing with corn. But that's the sort of thing you can expect. That's the first F1, that's the first F1 we've had today, in amongst the carp and the odd bream. And that's the nice thing about sweet corn, is you can catch everything. You know, when you go out on a day like today, just getting a few bites off of these fish makes all the difference. But let's talk about what I've been doing. So obviously Saturday this morning, it was like literally white over this morning. It's surprised the lakes haven't froze. But I've started off to the island, chucking in, looking for liners. Liners are really important, and sort of spent the first 20 minutes sort of just chucking it around. Got a couple of liners, which is good, and I've started chucking where the liners are. Now I've come off the island a bit. I've come off like 2 or 3 meters, and that's where I've had a few bites. I'm going to stay on anyway, because I've really enjoyed it when you start getting bites. But I've loose fed, sort of 3/4 of the way across, slightly to my left with the wind off my back. And that's where I've had this bite. And I'm sure as we go along, I reckon we'll get a few bites over the feed. I don't think at the start, with the conditions as they are, I think you just want to be chucking it out, find a few liners where the fish are sat, and then fishing on it with a hook bait. And that's why corn is so good. One, because it's bright, and it's just a great bait. You think of any carp angler in the country, everybody feeds corn. But let's go through the setup. Now, rod-wise, I've got a little 10-foot Superior X. Now, line-wise, I'm fishing with 6 pound, but there's no harm in fishing with 8. You know, it's quite a sort of down-to-earth rig, if you like. You know, 8 or 6 pound line, depends how far we're only chucking like 35 meters maximum today. I've got a 20-gram bomb on there. It's a little square one, because they're really good. Because when we're fishing up to that island, you're actually fishing on a slope. So obviously that holds on there like that, a little bit better than what a round sort of bomb would. Now, the most vital part of this is this little setup here. So this swivel comes down and sits on that little bead. Now, I've got the components here. So if you're into your bomb fishing, straight lead fishing, these are the 2 little things you want. Now, that's called a line protector stop. They are brilliant. And then I've got a quick chain swivel. So what you do, you put the lead on first with the swivel, then you put the, let me just see if I can get that off of there. Yeah, there you go. So then you've got that line protector stop, which is a bit like it looks like a quick change bead, but it's not. It's actually it's actually cut on an angle. So when that swivel comes down, it kicks it off. It's really, really good. And then I've got my quick change swivel. Now, the nice thing about that is I can lift that little rubber bit up there, and that's a bit like sort of a plastic connector you get on a pole. I can take my hook length off, put it a different hook length on in seconds. And when you're fishing with corn and things like that, you might want to know another hook length going with a piece of meat on. It's entirely up to you. And then the most important thing is when you've got that swivel on, bring this protector stop down and force it in. So the top of that swivel goes in to that bead. And do you know what's so great about that is you don't get any twist ups. Really important when you're fishing with baits like corn and meat and you're winding back, casting out, you don't get any twist ups at all. That rig comes back perfectly straight every time. Now let's talk about the piece of corn. Now I'm using F1 corn, one because it's got a bit of smell and you've got real nice chunky bits in there, which I love. Now I've got a 16 kkh on there, tied to a 17 power line, because there is some big carp in here and the bites have been literally sit there and the rod just flies around about 1,000 miles an hour. It's brilliant. And then in here I've got all sorts of bits of corn, and then obviously the way to hook it is to get one of those nice, what I call square chunky bits of F1 corn like that, stick it through the blunt end like that. You've got a rapid stop on there, let that go up inside, and then you've got perfect presentation like that. Really, really, well, simple stuff really, but it's nice to get that rig, and that rapid stop can go up inside like that. It's not showing at all. Look at that, perfect presentation. And the nice thing about the F1 corn is you've got some nice big chunky bits in there, you know, with the wind in your face. If you had the wind in your face, you can fire them out, and that's it. So I've chosen a little spot slightly to the left. This is where I've been getting a few liners, and I'll show you where I've been catching a little bit off the island like that, and I reckon that's like 3 to 4 foot deep. Just crank it around a little bit. Like I said, 20 gram bomb. I have actually got a smaller one there. That one's actually 15, but with this little nasty wind, I've opted for a 20 gram to make sure it's all planted in there. When I was chucking it right against the island, I want to make sure it's not going down the slope. Now the line that I've been feeding is slightly out there like that, so I've got a bit landing sort of 3/4 and the odd bit landing a bit further. And obviously as the day goes on, I'll go from feeding the feeding area, I'll chuck over it. If I get a few liners, I know they've come on it. If I don't get any liners, I don't get a bite, I'll end up chucking it where I've been chucking it and catching where I think the fish are sat. That's something you've definitely got to do, depending on what venue you go to. The bigger the carp, the more you got to try and chuck your lead around, because some days they just don't want any grub at all. But luckily today, I think we've had one fish on there, and I reckon we'll have a few more as the day goes on. But use that setup, like I said, the 2 components, those little things there, line protector stops. You get 6 on there, so you can actually use 6 setups, and then you use the quick chain swivels in the small or the mediums, entirely up to you. And let me tell you, so once you've got that set up, there's no line twists. It's nice and easy, nice and strong. And get out in the winter days like today when the sun's shining, you can sit here, it's nice and warm, and you can have a great day's fishing.